consider the function shown. What we want to do is to find the derivative of this, and really the only thing that we can do is to expand the brackets, simplify and then differentiate. So if I expand the brackets, I get 6x cubed plus 6x squared plus 2x plus 2. Simple enough. dy by dx, 3 times 6 is 18, 18x squared, 2 times 6 is 12x, and 2. But there is another way of dealing with this. This is what we call a product. We have two quantities multiplying. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to differentiate the first bracket. So if I differentiate 3x squared plus 1, I get 6x. I'm going to leave the second bracket. I'm going to leave the first bracket and differentiate the second bracket. So if I differentiate this, I get number 2. I'm going to expand the brackets and simplify, so that gives me 12x squared plus 12x plus 2 times 3, that's 6x squared plus 2. 18x squared plus 12x plus 2. Exactly the same as what we had above. So the rule is, if we have a product, u times v, to work out the derivative, we differentiate the first, so that's u dash, the dash indicating the derivative, u dash, differentiate the first, leave the second, then we leave the first and differentiate the second. That's the product rule. Here's our first example. So here is the product. Term 1, term 2. We might call that u and call this v. So the formula is dy by dx, we differentiate the first, leave the second, and we leave the first and differentiate the second. U dash, so if we differentiate x to the power of 4, we get 4x to the power of 3. We leave the second, and we leave the first and differentiate the second. Now sine becomes cos, and we multiply by the derivative of the bracket. So that's what we end up with. 4x cubed sine 3x, 3 times 4, 3 times x to the power of 4, and then cos 3x. So we want to work out the derivative, dy by dx, bring down the power, write the bracket unchanged, reduce the power by 1, multiply by the derivative of the bracket, leave the second term unchanged, and leave the first term unchanged, and we want to differentiate the second bracket. So bring down the power, write the bracket unchanged, reduce the power by 1, and multiply by the derivative of the bracket. So this needs to be tidied up. That gives us 12 plus 2 Now, in a problem of this sort, you're quite often, that would get you 2 marks out of 3, what we've done already. Quite often you're expected to simplify. In this case we can take out a common factor. We can take out 2, we could take out 3x minus 1 to the power of 3, and then x plus 1, x plus 4 to the power of 1. So 3x minus 1 to the power of 3, and x plus 4. So we'll have 6 rather, and x plus 4 plus 3x minus 1. We need to continue and expand and simplify this bracket here. So now we've got 6x plus 3x is 9x. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 take away 1 is 23. So that would be the final answer. Last example, we've got y equals sine x over cos x, and we want to find the value of y dash when x has the value pi by 4 radians. Now we have a problem here. We're supposed to be working on the product rule. A product is when two quantities multiply. But it's quite clear that we have something called a quotient. That's two quantities dividing. So how do we change two quantities which are dividing into two quantities which are multiplying? Well, what we can do is simply bring the cos x up onto the top line and write it as cos x to the power of minus 1. So we'll proceed, differentiate the first, leave the second, leave the first, differentiate the second. If we differentiate cos x to the power of minus 1, we bring down the power, we write the bracket unchanged, reduce the power by 1, multiply by the derivative of the bracket. If we differentiate cos x, we get minus sine x. Now, what we have here is cos x divided by cos x, or cos x times 1 over cos x, that just gives us 1. Plus, so we've got the two negative signs cancelling, and we've got sin x times sin x, and we have well, this is cos x to the power of minus 2 is 1 over cos squared x. Now remember, sine over cos is tan, so what we have here is tan squared x. When x has the value pi by 4, we have 1 plus, so it's tan of pi by 4 all squared. Now the tan of 45 degrees is 1, so it's just 1 plus 1 equals 2.